What's up, Indiana? Welcome to Indy Sports Nation right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. We have news coming from the Colts camp this week. The Indy Ignite win streak comes to an end. And the Indiana Pacers have clinched the 4 seed in the Eastern Conference. All of that and more. Lots to discuss. Thanks for joining. Saddle up. Indy Sports Nation starts right now. Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome in another episode of Indy Sports Nation right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. I am your host, Big Mike, coming to you live from great city of Indianapolis, as I do, well, most every Friday. Hope you've all had a great week. We have a ton to discuss, as we always do. As I mentioned, we had some news coming out of the Colts camp. We'll get into that. Talk some little bit of Indy Ignite as their streak came to an unfortunate end. And we saw the Pacers last night officially clinched the 4 seed. I have my thoughts on that as well, and a whole bunch more to discuss. So lots to do today. So without delaying this any longer, you know what we got to do? We got to give some love to our great sponsors. Planet Jerky. Jerky's on a whole other planet. Vital Apparel, Seal the Deal Wax Seals, Raw Nutrition. So I want to thank you so much for taking the time to tune in out of your busy day today or over the weekend, whether you're catching me live here or on the replay. I cannot thank you all enough. So let's get these bills paid and dive into some content on the other side. Once again, thanks for tuning in. It's your boy Big Mike here on Indy Sports Nation, right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. We'll be right back.
IE Sports Radio fans, this show is brought to you by Planet Jerky Premium Brisket Beef Jerky. Planet Jerky is the official jerky of the 2022 California League champion Lake Elsinore Storm, single-A affiliate of the San Diego Padres. This all-brisket jerky has gluten-free options, contains no MSG, no sodium nitrate, is low in sugar, and high in protein. Go to their website at planetjerky.net and follow them on Instagram at Planet Jerky. Planet Jerky, the jerky that's on a whole other planet.
Rise and shine. It's 4 a.m. The stars are still out. The sun is beneath the horizon, but it's time to punch in and go to work. The comfort of your warm-ups turns into the grinding out of your reps as the clinking and the clinking of the plates create a symphony of euphoria. There's no other feeling like it. Earn it, burn it, and take what's yours. IE Sports Radio has proudly partnered with Vital Apparel, a brand that not only fits great, but also it promotes and donates to mental health research. Use our code IESR to get 15% off their comfortable and inspiring gym wear and help them on their amazing journey to support mental health. Go hard, take part in your iron therapy, and be strong. Because when your mental health is as strong as you are, there's no telling how far you'll go.
Hey there, IE Sports Radio fans. Be sure to check out our sponsor, Seal the Deal Wax Seals by Cecilia B. You just finished your very own wedding or baby shower invitations and you're looking for that extra special touch? Maybe you just wrote a letter to a relative or a friend and you want to add to their smile when they receive it. Then seal the deal with Cecilia's handmade sealing wax stamps for your invitations, letters, and gifts. You bring the deal, we'll bring the seal. You can find them on Instagram at sealthedeal_wax stamps and on Facebook, Seal the Deal Wax Seals.
For the last 10 years, IE Sports Radio has been bringing you amazing content ranging from interviewing legendary athletes, coaches, and other authorized media personnel to building tailor-made shows dedicated to all major sports cities around the country. Make sure to follow us at IE Sports Radio on X, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and YouTube to keep up with the latest in sports and with all of our shows. Also, make sure to check out our daily updated website at iesportsradio.com. At iesportsradio.com, you can see our daily show schedule and check out all of our show pages with personal bios to learn a little bit more about each of our awesome hosts. In addition to our show pages, you can catch the IE Sports Radio blog, Hall of Fame, Fans of the Month page, and our merchandise shop including t-shirts, tank tops, caps, long sleeves, hoodies, and more. For now over a decade here at IE Sports Radio, we've continued to be by the fans, for the fans, and we thank you all for your support and for making IE Sports Radio your direct feed for all that is sports.
All right, welcome back, everybody. Thank you once again for taking time out of your busy day to join me. It's much, much appreciated. Big shout out to our newest sponsor, Raw Nutrition Supplements. Go to getrawnutrition.com. Use that promo code IESR. Get your 10% off on some of the best supplements out there. And if you'd be so kind, give me a little follow on X, formerly known as Twitter. The show page is at Indy Sports_IESR. Or you can follow me on the personal page at The Chill Mike. Appreciate all the follows and the interaction on there. It's a lot of fun. If you're able to become a supporter, that would be amazing. You can see the link if you're watching live or on the replay here. $5 a month. I know it's tough out there these days, but I'd appreciate it so much. It means the world to me, and we can, you sign up and probably get you on the show, get the little swag sent your way, make it kind of worth your time and while as well. So click that link, give us some love. We really, really appreciate it. As I've mentioned, speaking of social, hit that subscribe on YouTube for IE Sports Radio, for all the shows. Just it's a great group of people here. And lastly, or maybe next to lastly, I am on TikTok now, so you can find me at the chill.mike7 If you're a TikToker, I'm still figuring it out. I'm probably too old to be on it, to be completely honest with you. But hey, it is all good. And obviously, as I always say, if you're watching live, hit me up in the comments. If you're watching the replay, hit me up on the socials. That'd be great. But obviously on YouTube, hit me up in those comments. Sports related, keeping PG. Let's have some fun with it. We've got a few checking in already. My boy Taryn's checking in as he always does. Good evening. Have an awesome show. Taryn's show was great today. Taryn, appreciate you, brother. Ralph from the Yinzer Report. I believe he'll be going on later today, this evening. Says good evening. Have a great show. Appreciate you all so very, very much. What will we start with today? I don't know. I'm thinking I'm going to throw y'all a little curveball today. Have a little bit of fun. Have a little bit of fun with this one here. The Fisher's Freight. Some of you may be going, what the hell are the Fisher's Freight? I'm going to guess some of you who may watch locally are going, who the hell are the Fisher's Freight? No, this is not a logistics company. Fisher's Freight of the Indoor Football League. Some of you may remember the old arena football days. That's back when we had the Firebirds and Touchdown Eddie Brown, as they always called him. But anyway, I digress. The Fisher's Freight playing the same facility as the Indy Ignite, and have had their home opener this past week, and have started the season 2-0. I don't know if anybody's ever went to any kind of the old arena or indoor football, whatever, but actually it's kind of fun. It's obviously a different game than what you're used to seeing on Sundays in the fall, right? But it's still a lot of fun. It's a pretty fast pace, a lot of action going there. But they've started 2-0, and and I just real quick, I'll dive in a little bit here. If you haven't see their website or anything like that, go check out the Indoor Football League website. You can see the helmets of the new teams or of the teams, I should say. And I always love when these new leagues come about, just because I love there's more sports and just more you can get. It's way more than I had growing up, right? I'm showing my age here. But here we go. We have another league coming up. There's UFL and there was XFL for a bit until the merge. But the reason I'm bringing that up is just simply for the fact I love how these teams, like the team names. I'm always interested to see what these team names are going to be, right? Because it's like after a while, it's like, okay, we just can't keep doing animals anymore, like big scary animals. We got to do something different. And sometimes they hit, and sometimes they don't. So a few people I've talked to, like the Fisher's Freight, like freight train, and they're gonna play at railroad with Fishers. Obviously, people know Indy from the Monon, railroad back in the day, so it kind of makes sense, I suppose. But I got to look and just out of kicks and giggles, I'm like, all right, I need to see. So the Fisher's Freight are playing the Eastern, I guess, Conference, we'll call it. Division, we'll call it division, fine, whatever, you do you. So I was like, all right, who checking out the schedule, whatnot, yada yada, and I started looking at the rest of the teams, and I just got a little bit, I don't know, I should say entertained by some of the names. Some of them, a lot of them make sense. First one I noticed was the Green Bay Blizzard, I saw the all white helmet. I'm like, yeah, it's a nice touch. The Fisher's Freight played in the same conference as the Quad City Steamwheelers. That was an interesting one. Jacksonville Sharks. Okay, and we've heard that before. Makes sense. The Green Bay Blizzard. The Tulsa Oilers, the Fisher's Freight defeated this past week. Then we have the Iowa Barnstormers and the Massachusetts Pirates, who Fishers will play tomorrow night in Massachusetts. All right, fine, cool. I like it. So you go to the West. A couple of these, there's one I really love, and I'll share it with you. But the Arizona Rattlers also makes sense. San Antonio Gunslingers, which I'm kind of surprised that's even legal. But I digress. Vegas Nighthawks. Okay, Bay Area Panthers. The Northern Arizona Wranglers, who the Fisher's Freight got their first win over out in northern Arizona. The San Diego Strike Force, and probably my favorite one, if someone could give me some swag on this one, the Tucson Sugar Skulls. Give me some Sugar Skull swag. But anyway, I digress. We'll recap the game real quick. Quarterback Jair Wright, 5 touchdowns against Tulsa, 3 on the ground, 2 in the air. Had 54 yards rushing, 127 passing. Shavara Smith, leading receiver, with 7 receptions, 58 yards and 1 touchdown. So they're back home I believe it's will not be tomorrow. Obviously, it'll be in a couple of weeks. So I'm going to do my best to try to go out and obviously support this team. And it's great to see that this little suburb of Fishers, is getting to what you call like professional teams now. So, but congratulations to the Fishers Freight, starting 2-0. They are tied for second place. I know it's early. Quad City is actually leading the division with 3-0. So it's just they've played the extra game. So wanted to touch on the Fishers Freight for a minute, and I probably should have touched on it more last week, so ran out of time there. So do apologize for that, but a good start to the season for the Fishers Freight. As we continue talking Fishers and being in the Fishers Event Center, we got to bring up the ending night. Unfortunately, their win streak has come to an end at 4 after a 4-set loss to Columbus, which that was the first time the Ignite had lost to Columbus this season. But you kind of see that coming. I mean, how often it's going to go on a complete sweep of a team, right? That's just not something you really are expecting to do. But the one thing I really took away from it was more of a kudos to Columbus. I think more than anything else, Columbus showed up, and sometimes when it's just not your night, and in that case for the Ignite, it definitely was not their night. We did have a little bit. We did. Sydney Hilly became first player in the league to hit over 1,005 assists. So there was a positive that came out of it, but not to worry in my eyes because, again, you're going to have these losses like this, or they do happen. Just kind of what it is. But what I'm excited about, they're still in third place. So this loss really did not hurt them too much. And what's, I think, has me very optimistic with this team going forward is 5 of their next 7 are in Fishers. So yeah, if you got home court for 5 of the next 7. And they have held home court very, very well this season. I believe they have only lost 2. So the vast majority of their losses this season have come on the road. So granted, I have a few tough opponents coming in. But I'm very optimistic about this team going forward. We'll see how the Member Minute injury progresses. She's been out for a bit now. Still kind of tight-lipped on it. It did sound like it's a pretty serious one. They still haven't, it's not like they've not ruled her out for the year or anything like that. So we will keep a close eye on that. But they're 7 o'clock tomorrow night. They have Grand Rapids in town. Big day at the Fishers Event Center too, because you got Purdue volleyball scrimmage. And for those of you who follow volleyball, Purdue's a relatively good program. And they have Fan Fest, so you're gonna have like 3 o'clock scrimmage, 5 o'clock Fan Fest, and then 7 o'clock first serve, all at the Fishers Event Center tomorrow night. So place should be buzzing, should be a lot of fun. So with that said, we'll move into. We're talking all things Indy here, obviously. Give some love to the Indianapolis Indians, picking up their first road win on Wednesday. And not been the best start, as I mentioned last week. But they got their first win. They're no longer in the cellar. But Braxton Ashcroft with a nice night last night. Or I should say Wednesday, rather. 5 innings pitched, 6 Ks, only gave up 1 earned run. They were rained out last night in Louisville, so they'll be first pitch will be around 7:15 tonight, and they will do the double tomorrow. The other news of the week was Bubba Chandler, who's the hot prospect. Again, we touched on it a little bit last week. He's a very talented dude. Doesn't quite have that hype as Paul Skeens, in the 10 minutes he was here last year. But he threw 4 innings pitch and struck out 8. So pretty dominant performance by him. His ERA is actually literally 0. But the problem with the team right now, offense. So you look at a couple of their scores, you'd be like, "What are you talking about, Mike? I'll see this game and they've scored 7." It's very inconsistent. They've got left fielder Matt Gorski's the only one hitting over 300 right now. I think the next closest to him is 250. They're just not. It's kind of feast or famine, especially with the bats. They're either hit, a couple games they'll hit, and then other games are just they can't even sniff the ball. So, but again, we're early here. We're like 8 games in, and they've had a slew of rainouts already because of this crazy weather that we've all seen around here, right? Especially here in Indiana, especially folks in the South. As you get into southern Indiana and Kentucky, it's been a rough go. A lot of flooding, some lives lost. It's not been good. So thoughts to everybody who's been affected. But we'll, as we always do, we'll keep you abreast of how this Indians team goes forward. I like some of the pitching, which probably means that they'll get called up here soon, and we won't get to see it. But we'll see how it progresses. Obviously, we'll see how Pittsburgh does in the bigs, and it's just too early, really. It's for April 11th. It's too early to kind of start losing your mind yet. But with that said, let's get our first break in. We still got a couple other new things, or one in particular that I want to bring up before we get to the meat of the show, which will be obviously a lot of Colts talk and a lot of Pacers talk. So let's get the first break in, and we'll be right back on the other side. Indy Sports Nation, right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. We'll be right back.
Hey sports fans, are you in the market for Florida sports or just keeping up with the latest in the Panhandle? Palm Tree Sports is a dedicated audio hub to all things sports in the Sunshine State. We cover current events, big news, heavily favored opinions all across the NFL, NBA, MLB, and so much more. So come check us out every Saturday evening at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for a down south education on Florida sports and athletics. It's hosted by yours truly, Corey Pujols, and is powered by IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
What's up, New York? This is Ricky K coming at you with the NY State of Sports, a new show here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Listen to me every Thursday afternoon as we bring you the latest takes on the Yankees, Mets, Jets, Giants, Knicks, Nets, Rangers, Devils, and Islanders. Plus, you get some college hoops and what's the local sports events going on in the area. It's a state that never sleeps, so why not get the opinions and sports takes that never sleep? Again, every Thursday, 2 p.m. to the NY State of Sports. We'll see you then.
All right, welcome back, everyone. Thank you so much for tuning in. Had to give Corey from Palm Tree Sports a little bit of love. He is a Gator, and obviously, the Gators with that crazy win over Houston to win the national championship this past weekend or past Monday night. So, congrats to them. Congrats to the UConn ladies as well. That was just dominant. Again, if you're on YouTube, smash that subscribe button. We'd really, really appreciate you for that. And while we're talking about that, if you're able to go check out our site at IU Sports Radio, go check out some swag. Get yourself some swag. Keeps things going at this great station. So let's move in. A little IndyCar. One of my favorite tracks coming up this week, and I always tell people, for ones that maybe don't watch the series a ton, this one is definitely one you want to take in. It's the Streets of Long Beach. It's probably, and some may argue with me on this, and that's okay, I would say maybe the more prestigious street courses around. This is a bucket list for a lot of IndyCar fans. So I would highly encourage you to watch this one. Kyle Kirkwood is the defending winner. That's where he got his first win actually last year. Now the big question: can Alex Palou make it 3 straight? I mean, we'll see how qualifications go tomorrow. But I actually think he could. I really, really do. I really think he could. I don't. I'm not saying he will. I'm definitely not saying he will. I do legit think he could. I just think he's just on another level right now. It's on an absolute another level. So obviously, when you go to Long Beach, qualifications are it's a little tougher to pass, right? So you obviously want to qualify well. So that's some of the times where he's maybe not performed as well as he normally does, which is still better than most. It sometimes has to do with the fact that maybe the qualification didn't go well. So we'll see where that shakes out. But IndyCar on the streets of Long Beach, 4:30 Eastern. Obviously, that's on Fox as they've got that new Fox deal. And I gotta say, so far I like it. I was a fan of. I mean, they were on Peacock a lot of times last year, and even races that were supposed to be on NBC got pushed to USA or somewhat even on TV. You had to have Peacock. So I really like what the Fox, how the Fox deal is working out so far. You're getting some practice on FS2, quals on FS1, and obviously the race on Fox. You've seen the marketing that they've done with NFL and some cross marketing with NASCAR and whatnot, which is just great for I think motorsports in general. So, but yeah, 4:30 streets of Long Beach. Again, for those of you who are just maybe learning the sport or just maybe that more casual fan, this is definitely one you definitely want to watch. Definitely want to watch this one, and let's see if Palou can do 3 straight. So I think he has a real shot. So one thing we've not touched on a whole lot, and actually we haven't touched on it at all really because there's been so much going on here, right, with Colts and Pacers and obviously college hoops and and everything in between. But wanted to give a little bit of love to the Indy 11. Now, the season hasn't really started out horribly. I mean, they're kind of just, I believe they're 7th right now. So they're basically roughly middle of the pack. They're 1-2-1 right now. And so it's not been great. And the other night was a heartbreaker. And maybe heartbreaker is not the right term here. But their issue is they're getting goals quickly in the first half. So they're getting on the board. But then the problem is they can't hold the lead. Like they were 2-0 to North Carolina this week, playing in the rain, got a goal quick. Boom. Like 3rd minute in, you get a goal. Heck yeah, let's go. Then you get a set piece. That gets knocked. It ends up being an own goal, but hey, you take it. I mean, set pieces, those are corner kicks. It's crazy things happen. Those of you who follow soccer have seen that. So you get 2-0 lead at half. We would feel pretty good about that. But the one thing you don't want to do is give up a goal in the first 5 minutes of the second half, which is exactly what happened. 11 had a chance to put the game away late. Missed a kick just wide right, or free kick just wide right. And then a free kick from Carolina is able to tie it in extra time, and they go home with another draw. So some points, unfortunately, left off the table there, I should say. But I like how they've come out. I like, again, this first half. They're actually leading the USL, by the way, in most first half goals so far. Granted, we're 4 matches in. It's early. But it's great. You want to see that. You want to see they come out aggressive, but then the issue is so far they've not been able to hold that. So, but again, early start to the year, right? Early start to the year. We'll be able to dive more into this as the season progresses. But those are ones you just you know what I mean? Like it's there, and then it's not, and it's It is frustrating. And back in the comments, hey, Jess, she's new to the network. Looking forward to her show. Giving up a goal that early can be so hard to come back from. Yeah, you're absolutely right. It's just amazing that the Indy 11 have started off quick in these games and then don't hold the lead. So, but again, it's okay. We're 4 games in here, so it's not a whole lot to get crazy about. It's just like with the Indians, it's early, so we will see how things progress. And Jess, thanks for tuning in, by the way. Really appreciate that. Really looking forward to your work. So let's get in one more topic here before we get into some of the meat and potatoes here, which is obviously Colts and Pacers dominate here, as most of you know. So now that college basketball is over, we are hot heavy into the transfer portal, which goes on for until the 22nd, I believe it is. And what that means, for those of you who may not know, is they have until the 22nd where they can enter the portal. So in other words, if you've entered the portal now, you don't have to make your decision by the 22nd. You've got time. But if you're going to go into the portal, you have to go in by the 22nd. And then I believe it's June, early part in June. I can't remember the exact day off the top of my head where if you're going to declare for the draft or not. And that's been the hot rumor with Braden Smith. But more and more words coming out. Braden Smith, point guard at Purdue, who won the Cousy Award. We've talked about this. Everything indicates he's staying. And right now, early mock drafts have him a second rounder. So, I mean, could he, which tells me he's probably not going to, but could he go enter and not hire the agent just for evaluation? Sure, he could, but everything's kind of leading back there. But so speaking of Purdue, as I mentioned last week, they've lost a few guys to the portal. Elijah Saunders out of Virginia has narrowed his choices down to about 4 or 5 schools now. Of course, one of them is staying at Virginia, but one of them is Purdue. Now, people be like, who is this guy? Well, he's a wing, which is what Purdue needs at this point. He's a guy that gives you 10 points, 10, 11 points, gives you 5 or 6 boards. Shoots the 3 ball around 35%, so not the best you've ever seen, but definitely not the worst. He would be a nice add, and I'd like to see them maybe get one more, but we'll see. We'll see what happens here. But within the portal news, Miles Rice, the guard at IU, he is heading to Maryland, so he's staying in conference. And then you got Reed Bailey from Davidson to IU. I think that's a decent get for IU. Guys got some length. Shoots the 3 ball about 41%. So I like what Darren DeVries is doing at this point. He's bringing in some guys who can shoot, because for you IU fans, or for anybody who watched IU this past season, these guys were awful. I mean, they couldn't shoot and save their life. Especially from 3, my word. I think there was one game they shot literally 5% from 3. Other than that, you pretty much look at the box score just about every game. It's like 20 some odd, 27, 28, 29%, something like that. Not great. So getting some shooters is what they'll need. Indiana's Mr. Basketball, by the way, decided to stay at Kansas. He entered the portal, then said, never mind, I'm staying. I know some IU fans were salivating for that. So with that said, I wanted to get you more update on that. Obviously, IU's going to be very heavy in the portal because they need to put a roster together. So we'll keep you updated. But man, what a bad week to be a Notre Dame fan. Wow. Man, if you're a Notre Dame hoops guy, or gal, you're not thrilled right now. So Tay Davis, who I thought was probably one of their more consistent guys on the men's team, which had a tough year. I think tougher than most expected, tougher than I expected. He is in the portal. I don't think Shrewsbury was thinking he would go. And they also lost another recruit. So they had a 4-star guy who is now decommitted. So not a great week for Notre Dame, but again, this is the environment. This is what this is now. So you kind of have to be ready for things like this. But here's the big one to me for speaking of Notre Dame. Olivia Miles, one of the star guard for Notre Dame women, which I felt most of the season they had one of the best backcourts in the country with her and Hidalgo. She went to the portal, and she will be going to TCU. And I guess that is the epitome of if you can't beat them, join them. For those of you who may have forgotten, TCU not only ended Notre Dame's season this year, but they also beat them early in the season too. So TCU beat Notre Dame twice this year. That's credit. I mean, credit to TCU. Hats off. But yeah, so Miles is heading to TCU. Again, can't beat him, join him. And recruiting director for Notre Dame, Brian Snow, is leaving the program. So all of a sudden, what was looking like, I've been hyping it up too, I'm not going to lie, from a hoops perspective for Notre Dame, it's kind of about next year. But now all of a sudden, you're starting to get a little nervous if you're the Notre Dame faithful. We're like, wait a minute here, our recruiting director's gone, and Tay Davis has hit the portal. And yeah, so I don't feel as bad about the women because I think a lot of people thought Miles would maybe enter the WNBA draft. So I think the Notre Dame women will be just fine. But it was a little bit of a surprise for her to forego that and enter the portal and then go to TCU. So there'll be more to that. I mean, keeping up on the transfer portal is it's almost like a full-time job. It really, really is. A few more comments here. We'll get our last break and get really into some some big news from the Colts and the Pacers. Jess chiming back. Yes, a lot of time left in the season. It is early. It is so early. And our boy from Beantown checking in. Hey, Brian, good afternoon, brother. Hope happy weekend to you. With all that, let's get our last round of breaks in, and we'll dive into some Colts and Pacers talk on the other side. Yet again, you're watching your boy Big Mike, Indy Sports Nation, right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. We'll be right back.
Sports fans, do you like teams that are tough, cities that are tougher, and fan bases that are passionate about their teams? How about teams that are historic and stadiums that are iconic? Then you belong in Chicago, and you need to check out Chi-Town Weekly. Join me, Adam Kernan, every week as we keep up with all things Chicago sports. Bears, Bulls, Blackhawks, Cubs, White Sox. We'll cover them all, plus more. The Windy City is always buzzing, and we'll keep you up on all the big games and major stories. So tune in to Chi-Town Weekly every week right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
What's up, Pittsburgh? This is Ralph DeLeese, the host of the Injury Report on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Are you that passionate diehard Steelers, Penguins, Pirates, or just a Pittsburgh sports fan? Then please join me on the Injury Report every Tuesday on IE Sports Radio, the direct feed for all that is sports, and I will update you on all that's black and gold, and have you telling your Pittsburgh fans and friends what's up with Pittsburgh sports. Tune in Tuesday with me, Ralph DeLeese, the Injury Report on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Let's go!
All right, welcome back. Final segment or segments of the show. Thank you once again for tuning in yet again, if you would smash that subscribe button. Appreciate you so very much. All right, well, we got Colts and Pacers to discuss, so let's dive into the Colts. And just a heads up, we'll be doing a here next week on Indy Sports Nation. We'll be doing a draft special preview. Whatever terms you want to put there. We'll have at least one guest, hoping for a second. So hopefully it'll be a little table for three of us here. But definitely going to have my buddy, my boy Zach, who contributes to the Blue Stable here in Indy. To talk all things Colts draft and some needs, and which I think it's pretty obvious. Obviously some rumors, what have you. And we'll touch on that here briefly here in a sec. But some news came out this week. And first and foremost, I won't get into a ton of detail because I don't want to. It's really kind of sad. But right tackle Braden Smith, for those of a lot of us Colts fans are familiar, he's been a really, really solid tackle here for the vast majority of his career here. Missed a big chunk of the last part of last season, and all it was kind of personal issues and this, that, and the other, which from my standpoint does kind of ring like, okay, there's probably some very possibly could be some mental health things going on or something along that line. And you come to find out that's exactly what it was. Some really serious OCD stuff going on. And like I said, I'm not going to get into the detail, but Joel A. Erickson of the Indianapolis Star wrote the story beginning of this week. And I would encourage anybody, if they haven't, for the local people, if you haven't read that story, go read it. Joel Erickson does a really good job. If you're out of market, I would still suggest you go read this because it's very eye-opening. It's very powerful. Long story short, people wasn't sure if he was going to make it. And I said this a lot on this program, and I say a lot in my everyday life is check on your people. Check on your people, man, because you just don't know. And a lot of times it's the people who you think are the happiest and everything's going great for them are the ones who are struggling the most. That's why I love we've got this partnership here at IE Sports Radio with Vital Apparel, where they donate proceeds to mental health research. This just kind of hit home for me personally reading this story. So I am glad he's okay and he's ready to play football again. So I hope he continues to his path to improvement, and really excited for him to hopefully get back on the field and just kind of be able to have this nice kind of triumphant return, if you will. So that story came out this week. Again, it's posted all over X and every social media platform you can think of. So just do a Google search, whatever. But highly recommend it. Won't take more than about 5 or 10 minutes to read it. Well worth it. So. But on the sports side of the personnel side of things, I guess, Colts released kicker Matt Gay. And why that move doesn't shock me, and I don't think should really shock anybody. I think the surprise is the timing, because you would think this would be a June move, because you could save some more cap room. Granted, not that you're paying kickers, $20 million a year. I mean, this was a 4-year, $22 million deal. He was actually the richest free agent contract for a kicker in NFL history. So, you thought, I believe it, they would have saved an additional couple million, which in the grand scheme of things, I realize when you're trying to sign other free agents, for example, that's not a lot of money. But still, being the Colts and who they are, I was a little surprised at the timing of this. But when it comes to him being released or whatever, I don't think anybody can really be surprised by it. And here's why. I mean, let's look at the NFL right now. Let's look at kickers, right? Now, Matt Gay, outside of, from 49 yards in, I think he only missed 3. All right, that's good. But his percentage overall from his time with the Rams, the Colts, went down 10%. It's a big, big decrease. And a majority of that was from 50 plus. Take out the game where he had the 4 50-yarders. Which has been a while ago, obviously, against Baltimore in an upset. He was I think 7 of 18 or something like that. Yeah. He ended up being 11 of 22 from 50 plus. So in this league, any league for that matter, you're doing, I shouldn't say any league, but NFL, you're a kicker and you're only hitting 50% of your kicks from 50 and beyond. That's not gonna work. He's not gonna survive that. And when that happens, that happens. So that leaves it to Spencer Schrader, who they signed a while back, who's been here before. And I would expect that's not automatically going to be his job. They will probably bring in, I don't know if they'll draft one in like round 6 or 7, but I would imagine they'll sign some, free agents, whatever, unrestricted free agents, post draft, undrafted free agents, I think they call them, to create some competition there. I just can't imagine they hand it to him. But hey, I mean, unfortunately it's part of the business. But hey, as a kicker, you don't have a whole lot of jobs except to make kicks. And unfortunately for Matt, he was not making anything past 50 yards this past year. So in the past couple of years, I guess. So something else that came out is tight end Mo Alley Cox has been re-signed on a 1-year deal. This one's been a weird one going on social media today, and some people were like excited and loving it, and let's go, and all. I'm just kind of like, cool. Yeah, okay. I mean, the one thing he is good at is good blocking tight end. I will give him that. And he will make some of these catches in the course of maybe 1 or 2 a season. You're like, holy, I can't believe he made that. And then he'll have one right to him that just drops it. So that's not his MO or anything. I get it, have a veteran in there or whatever. I mean, mind you, to his credit, this guy never played football. He's a basketball guy. And here he is, his 9th year in the NFL. So I'll give some credit, But I mean, it's a great story. You cannot hate that story. But for me, it's just like, okay, cool. I'm not overly excited about it. I'm not mad about it. I see the logic behind it. I'm just in the thought process. I'm like, okay. All right, cool. So we'll see. And as I mentioned before we jump onto the Pacers, I mentioned draft. Quinn Ewers came in to work out here in Indy, and so all of a sudden people started losing their mind, and that we may draft Quinn Ewers. And we'll get into this. Like I said, we'll get into this more next week when we do our draft special. But I'm not gonna lie. If he's there, and say, well, let's just say for kicks and giggles, the 3rd round. Let's just say the 3rd round. And he's there, and especially if Ballard does some trades on draft night, which he's been known to do, trading back and whatever, getting a couple extra picks, I wouldn't be surprised if they pick him. The chatter around here is that they like what they saw from him, and there's already rumors and it was stuff about Anthony and his off season isn't going as well as some would have hoped, and others are saying that's not true. Who knows? We'll find out soon enough. And of course, you got Daniel Jones here, and yeah, we went on this last week. I'm gonna go down that road again, but that has been discussed, and many other conspiracy theorists thrown out there. Look, I'll tell you, like I said, just for my own, they need a tight end. They just do, and the fact they went this long without one, I think. And what I mean by without one, this one that's not game changing, the one that can help. I could help someone like an AR. Of course, AR's got to be able to get him the ball. I get that. But I don't know. I mean, to me, it's just a glaring need. And if Tyler Warren's there, you got to get him. Do I think he's going to be there? No, I don't. And I don't imagine the Colts are going to work a trade to trade all the way up just to get him. I just don't see that. That's just not their way. But I've been wrong before. I didn't think Chris Ballard would be signing all these free agents. But he did. So linebackers will be a need too. You're gonna need some, I think you're gonna need some O-line help as well. Of course, they did sign a running back in the offseason. I wouldn't be surprised to see him go down that road in the later rounds. But like I said, I don't want to take too much of the time away from that. We'll get more to that. More of that next week, but I wanted to just bring about some Colts news, which will take us to the Pacers. Man, oh man. First and foremost, it's good to get, to secure the 4th seed and to get that home series. For those of you who've been with me this entire time on this crazy ride known as Indy Sports Nation, I said that was my hope for the Pacers this season, was to get that 4 seed, get a home playoff series, obviously win that series. So that kind of had a feeling coming in. It's like, all right, if they can do that, they're probably going to run into Boston in the second round. A Cleveland, New York, whatever. Which New York I would probably welcome just because I just don't love how they do their rotations there. But that's neither here nor there. But you get the 4 seed. That's great, and it looks like it'll be Milwaukee, although they have 2 games versus Detroit, and Detroit's only 2 games back, so Detroit could sneak this one, I suppose. But we'll see. The way Milwaukee's playing right now, I don't know that Detroit would get both. And Milwaukee's getting healthy, which brings me to my original, one of my original thoughts here, I guess. There's a lot of things I like that I've seen the second half of the, post All-Star break from the Indiana Pacers. In fact, they're actually have the 4th best record in the league, only behind Oklahoma City, Cleveland, Boston. So in the grand scheme of it, it's been a good post All-Star run, and which is where it gives me some hope, because they're going to get a nice break, about a week break, before they get into the series with presumably Milwaukee, or because it could be Detroit, but it's whatever. So they'll get that week off, which it's different in hoops for me. I should say for me, I think it's just different hoops in general, right? Because some have that worry that, oh man, I get a week off, and tonight they tip off at against Orlando. It's the home finale, regular season finale, and of course all the starters are out. And people get concerned, like, well, rest over and be rusty. I think it's different hoops. Pacers have actually demonstrated that, like when they had their trip to France, and then after the All-Star break, they had some time off, and they came out looking pretty good. So I don't really worry about that too much from that standpoint. I think it's actually going to be much needed. I know they've been wanting to rest Pascal Siakam for a while. So that's a good thing. Where I'm concerned is these past few games that I've seen. And we talk about it here locally all the time. It's like you're playing down to your competition. And that's no hate on the Cleveland Cavaliers, but let's be real. That was second and in some cases 3rd string guys out there last night playing against the Pacers starters, and Cleveland probably should have won the game. So I'm a little concerned when you have, first and foremost, let's go back a game to the Wizards, who are just awful, and I'm pretty sure tanked that game on purpose. I mean, I was watching that game, and there was a series, I believe it was either 2nd or 3rd quarter, where the Wizards got 4 consecutive offensive rebounds. 4 consecutive offensive rebounds. And of course, finally on the 5th, they finally did score. But he had a few other possessions. It wasn't until the end where the Pacers actually start catching up on rebounds. When they finally made some plays at the very, very end, again, which some probably argue that the tank was in for the Wizards. I mean, I'm not signing up for conspiracy theories or anything like that, but at the same time, that's what I'm seeing. I even go back to the Utah Jazz game where you look at the score and you're like, it looked like the sound whooping. That was a quarter. Pacers kind of finally found themselves in the 4th quarter. Utah just died. So you've got these where you're getting, in many cases, in my view, outworked, out-rebounded, and you're not shooting the ball overly great. So you can look at the aspect, maybe some rest will be good for them, and that could be very, very true, and I hope that is the case. And it very well may be. And it's going to need to be. because the way you can't get into the playoffs and just kind of coast through now. And I was talking to some friends of mine last night and again today. They're like, "Yeah, Mike, just relax. They're going to be fine come playoff. They're just going to pick it back up." And I'm like, "Oh yeah, maybe. Okay." But I look at it as, take last night for example. Now granted, Cleveland was shooting threes, and I think they shot end up like 46% from three. I mean, they just were on fire. But here it is, home game, national TV, to clinch the 4 seed. Reggie Miller's in the house, and that's what we got. That's the performance that came out last night, where you damn near lost, or probably should have lost, to some second and third stringers from Cleveland. So that's where my disappointment comes in. Right now, again, I'm gonna look at some positives here too, because there's some great things that we're seeing, and one of them Tyrese Halliburton. Here's a cool stat I came across. Tyrese is the only player with 1,000 plus points, 500 plus assists, and less than 150 turnovers. He's been averaging since the break 20 points, 11 assists, and like 1 turnover. And that's why, again, big picture, I'm taking these last few terrible games in my eyes out of it. But big picture, he's the orchestrator. I said that from day one. And when he's doing that, when he's doing things like that, that's good things for the Pacers. I did see some flashes, some really good things last night, and especially in the first quarter. Just the way they're moving the ball, getting that high tempo offense going, which they're so good at. Then it wasn't there, but neither here nor there at this point, I suppose. And we'll get into it probably maybe not next week after. We'll get a little more playoff preview and whatnot, because I think that we're going to need to see consistency from Nembhard if this Pacers want to even get out the first round. He's been, he's great last year, and I like him. I think he's a solid player. Please don't get me wrong. But the consistency's got to be there a little bit. There's nights you'll see him in the offensive side. He'll make some key baskets. You're like, okay, all right, Nemby, I like what I'm seeing. And then on the other side, he can't guard a chair. Other games, you'll see his defense kind of step up, but then he'll miss like 3 layups. I mean, I'm exaggerating a little bit, but you get what I'm saying. But I like what I've been seeing from Nesmith since he's been back. I mean, he's been back for a while, but he seemed to kind of found his groove. I think really they've got to find a way to rebound better. And as rebounding's not been their strong suit, I understand this, because Miles Turner's not your typical big man. Like, he's not the typical big man that people here in Indiana are used to seeing as a big man. You know what I mean? Like, if people here in Indiana, they think of big man, they think of somebody who's just down the blocks and just, knocking people out of the way, getting rebounds, whatever. Miles is the type of guy that he'll get some blocks. He's a good rim protector, but he'll stretch you out offensively, and he'll make your bigs come out and guard the 3, and Miles can hit that, but he's not been hitting them as well lately. So hopefully some rest will help do that. I think the other thing for him going forward too, and this is going to sound like I'm say whatever you want, I guess, but I was watching the game last night, for example, and it was one of those sequences early in the game where you saw the fast ball movement, great crisp passing, loved it. Gets the ball to Nesmith, and he gets absolutely hammered, going into not the good hammered, but he's going in for the layup and gets hit right across the head. And I forget who from the Cavs did that. Now, I didn't think that was malicious in any way, shape, or form. I didn't. I really, he was just going for the ball. It was a hard foul. But per the rule, that's a flagrant. I mean, it's right there, it's around the side of the head. Again, malicious, no. But per rule, that is a flagrant. Refs review it, and they review it. Normal foul. And I promise you, Nesmith is like the most unluckiest guy when it comes to that too. He really, really is. I mean, I've not seen a guy unluckier, I don't think, I mean, I'm sure there's probably someone equally, or maybe there is somebody more. I don't know. I can't say I watch every team as closely as I do the Pacers, but I promise you, if that's anybody else, if that's anybody from the Cavs, if that's Giannis, if that's Brunson, whoever, pretty much anybody else, that's will be flagrant. Not just a foul, it's a flagrant. So I cautioned the Pacers. That's the other thing they're going to need, I believe, too. And I cautioned the fans is Pacers are not getting calls. This is not happening. We know how this works. Halliburton will get some calls, sure. I'm not going to say. I mean, your superstar will get some. He'll get a few calls here and there, but calls like that, no. There's almost always going to go against the Pacers. It's just, I don't know. I just feel like it's kind of how it is. So, but I mentioned we'll see how this shakes out. Some rest will do them good. I'll be interested tonight to see what happens. Obviously, they got Orlando tonight. Close it out against Cleveland again, which will essentially be a G League game. And you've got the Knicks, who still have the Cavs tonight, and then they've got the Nets. Theoretically, the Pacers could still get to 3. They're only one game back. I don't expect that to happen, but they legit could. So it could be. I mean, it's going to be they'll be playing Pistons or Milwaukee regardless, but we'll see where it goes. I just kind of feel like it'll probably stay where it's at. Obviously, if not, we'll have more to talk about. But with that being said, that's going to do it for us. Appreciate you tuning in. Appreciate all the comments today, and most of which I was able to show. A few I couldn't. That's okay though. As I mentioned, programming note next week. We're back here at 5 p.m. As always. Next Friday, always back in the lovely studio. It's just so good to get back here and be comfy. But we'll have our draft special next week. Have my boy Zach here, previewing the draft, talking some Colts needs, and hopefully we'll have another one with me, still kind of ironing out that detail. But be a really fun show next week. Hope you're able to take some time and tune in. So on that note, thank you so much for tuning in this week. Much, much appreciated. Hit that subscribe. Go to that supporters link. Appreciate y'all so much. That'll do it for me, Big Mike, here on Indy Sports Nation, right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Have a great weekend, everybody.